This is the Infinix Note 30. Oh, sorry, that's the box. This is the Infinix Note 30, and welcome to its review. I wanted the Pro because I knew it had wireless charging, and I didn't expect the regular Note 30 to also have it. But then I got the phone, and it was this huge box, and I was like, no way. To my surprise, it does have wireless charging. Or I guess I should say it kinda does. Let me explain. Together with the box, you get a smaller size box that houses a wireless charging case and a wireless charging pad. So yeah, that's how the phone has wireless charging. Because once you put the phone in the case and you place it on a wireless charging pad, it charges. Now I know someone's already commenting, that doesn't count. Well, you are kind of right. The Pro is the only one with straight up wireless charging without the help of any accessories. But yeah, with the Note 30, this is what we get. And frankly, I am still impressed that they were able to sort of still give you that wireless charging experience. Now you might be thinking, well, it's a lot of stress having to wear this case every time you want to wirelessly charge it. But I would say because of how nicely designed this case is, you actually don't need to take it off. Like you can rock this as a regular case because it does look like a regular case. And even when you want to use wired charging, you also don't need to take it off because there's a Type-C port right there at the bottom. So unless you want to show off your phone's back design, you can literally put this phone in this case and never take it off. Now this supports, I believe, 15 watts of wireless charging, which I believe is the fastest currently, but it's still slow compared to wired charging. But if you're like going to bed, you could just slap this on the wireless charger and by the time you wake up, your phone's filled up. One more thing to bear in mind is the right way to remove or even wear the wireless charging case. It has a Type-C plug at the bottom, which should go into the Type-C port of the Note 30. So you should put it in the case from the bottom, then press down at the top. Also, when it's in the case and you want to take it out from the top and then pull forward to remove it from the plug. Any other way and you might damage it. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that Infinix introduced wireless charging to the budget space and even puts it in the base Note 30. This one is a mixed bag. I don't particularly like the design, but I do like the color and the finish. I like how the rails look like stainless steel. It's not, it's plastic, glossy plastic. On the back, there are two finishes. Matte for the most part and glossy for the camera section. The matte section feels very nice. It feels like suede, soft, and doesn't leave any fingerprint marks. So it looks good literally all the time. But that camera section, first off, it's a literal mirror and catches every single fingerprint mark. Not a fan. I think the color was what did it for me. It's called variable gold. Get it? Because it changes color. For the most part, it looks gold, or should I say peach, but if you tilt it at just the right angle, it turns blue. Sometimes I even see green. It's an interesting color for sure. As far as ports and audio go, it has a headphone jack, one microphone at the bottom, which actually does a pretty good job for one microphone. Okay, so this is a test to see how good the microphone is. I'm holding my phone next to my ear, just like I would. Still at the bottom, there's a Type-C port, and to its right, one of the two speakers. The second is at the top. You notice on the packaging and on the phone that Infinix partnered with JBL, you know, the guys that make Bluetooth speakers. So I did expect the speaker quality to be really good, and frankly, it was. I could feel the vibration on the back of the phone. On the right side, we have the volume buttons. They are quite thin, but clicky. Then underneath that, we have the fingerprint reader, which is also the power button. Works as it should, really quick and accurate. And then on the left side, there's the tray that houses two 4G SIM cards and one SD card. My unit comes with 256 gigabytes, so I don't think I'll be needing that. But at least there's the option to expand if that's not enough. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the design, I do like the color, the finish, and the flat sides. I also like the speakers and the microphone quality. I've noticed that people either don't care about bezels or they really care about bezels. If you're in the second camp, you're not going to like this. The Note 30 comes with a U-shaped notch with significant bezels. I personally don't really mind it if the display quality is really good, because in the end it's more about what's on screen than it is about the screen itself. But I would agree that it's always nice to see slimmer bezels and perhaps even a hole punch cutout. The Note 30 kinda makes up for it with its 1080p AMOLED display. It's a good looking display, and at 6.66 inches, it's large enough to enjoy watching videos. And when you combine that with the JBL tuned stereo speakers, watching videos become even more enjoyable. That for me is one of the reasons to actually buy this phone. But one drawback with this display is its refresh rate. It's a 60Hz display. In my opinion, it should have been at least 90Hz. But I did notice that in the display settings, you can tweak the swipe speed and motion speed to improve responsiveness. But yeah, it's not the smoothest of displays, and depending on what phone you're coming from, you'd either notice this or you won't. It's also not exactly the brightest of displays. It's usable outdoors, but under direct sunlight, it's harder to use. But for this price point, that's just about right. Overall, it's great for watching content. It's sharp, colorful, it's AMOLED, but it's 60Hz. Because this has an AMOLED display, it comes with an always on display. There are 7 different clock styles. You can customize the layouts, the color of the text, what elements you want. But even cooler is that when you select any of the live wallpapers, you get this really cool transition from the always on display to the lock screen and then to the home screen. I thought that was cool. There are also 3 themes pre-installed on here in case you want to spice up your phone. There are also new wallpapers, just 9 of them, but you can always find more in the X theme app or just install yours. This doesn't have Material U theming, but in the accessibility settings, you'll find dynamic color and themed icons. This is running on XOS 13 on top of Android 13. That's great, but there is no official word as to whether this would get any major Android updates. So I guess fingers crossed. There are a couple pre-installed apps on here, but I noticed that they aren't as aggressive as they used to be in terms of sending notifications. I think the only one that I saw multiple times was Genie X. But if you want no notifications from any of these apps, you can easily uninstall them. But this is typical XOS. Very customizable, feature packed, also very stable, but no guaranteed major OS updates. The Note 30 comes with the Helio G85 processor and 8GB of hardware RAM. Someone commented in the unboxing that the Helio G85 is a turnoff. So what I did was I compared that with other processors and phones around 130k. For this budget, the G85 is actually very okay, especially for gamers. So you can expect to play all your favorite games, but at around medium graphic settings. And for multitasking, the 8GB of RAM lets you have a bunch of apps open and you can easily switch between them. It also has the virtual RAM feature in case you need it, which lets you add up to 8GB of virtual RAM. When I played FIFA Mobile on this, it ran the game at 30 FPS. It couldn't go higher, which meant the gameplay wasn't buttery smooth. Like, it was fine, don't get me wrong, but that is what to expect at devices at this price point. Also, while gaming, I was looking to see if the phone would overheat. It didn't. It did get warm, especially around the camera section, but nothing too crazy. So this would multitask well. It would also play all your favorite games, but at medium settings. It might look like this has 3 or even 4 cameras, but it has just 2, but really only 1. At the top left of the back of the phone, you'd find the 64 megapixel main sensor. Then underneath that is what I believe to be a depth sensor. There's also the flash, and underneath the flash, nothing. That's just there mainly for aesthetics. On the front, there's a 16 megapixel camera with a flashlight as well. Well, how good are the cameras? The main camera is okay. It does well with color. If there are colors in your shots, it would make them pop. If there are skies in your photos, it would either nail it or not nail it. Details and sharpness are okay, but if you want really crisp photos, then you can try the 64 megapixel mode. I also took photos at night as well. The first image you're seeing here was without night mode and the second was with night mode. There is a difference. Note that you would have to be really stable when taking these night mode shots or they would come out kind of blurry. But I think overall the night mode shots are, again, okay. The selfie cameras impressed me as well. They did well with HDR as well as detail. You can see the colors pop. It shoots max at 2K resolution, which is very fine. But my issue is that it lacks stabilization, even at 1080p, both for the front and rear cameras. Most other phones at this price point also don't have stabilization, so it's not that big a deal. It just means that if you're shooting video, you're going to have to use a tripod. 5000 mAh and an included 33 watt charging adapter. We might take this for granted, but we shouldn't. There are brands that are literally removing things from the box, and here we have Infinix doing the opposite, and in fact, adding more accessories. That's awesome. The Helio G85 is not the most power efficient chipset out there. So while 5000 mAh is a lot, if you're on your phone a lot and you're doing something heavy like gaming, you're going to need to charge this phone twice a day. I played games for about 30 minutes straight and it took 10% of the battery, which would mean in about 5 hours, the battery would run out. But when I watched a 40-minute episode of a show, it took 6% of the battery. At that rate, it would take 10 hours to kill the phone. So basically, what you're doing on your phone determines whether the battery life would be great or not. And then for charging speed, it took about an hour 15 minutes to charge this phone from 0 to 100% using the included 33 watt charging brick. And of course, we can't forget that this phone also lets you wirelessly charge using that wireless charging case. Much slower, but much cooler. If you're a light to medium user, the battery life would impress you, but if you're a heavy user, it won't. The Note 30 comes in two variants. One is going for 121,000, that comes with 4GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. And I believe that that doesn't come with the wireless charging case and pad. There's another going for about 138,000, that comes with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. That comes with the wireless charging accessories, so clearly the better deal. At that price, you're getting a lot, from the contents of the box to the phone itself. The Note 30 for me is geared towards those who watch a lot of content. It has a good looking AMOLED display, great speakers, and a battery that would allow you to watch content for hours. It's also a good option for gaming on a budget. If you take gaming seriously, then you might want to up your budget a bit and look at the Note 30 Pro. I don't know, it would feel kind of ungrateful to complain about the Note 30, but if I had to complain, it would be about the 60Hz display. I really was expecting at least 90Hz. But yeah, other than that, for the price, the Note 30 is definitely up there as one of the phones to consider buying. That's my review of the Note 30. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I would see you when you see me.